Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
6:07. Thanks for tuning in here as we're 1 hour down, 3 hours to go before we hand it off to Chris Plant. It's Larry O'Connor with Julie Gunlock. Thank you to Hans von Spakovsky sitting in for me on Friday as we had graduation celebrations in the O'Connor household. And now we're back at it today. Coming up at 6:35, Grover Norquist on the big, beautiful tax cut. 7:05, Joe DeGeneva. 7:35, Byron York. 8:05, Ron Halber of the Jewish Community Relations Council. And 8:35, Brendan Steinhauser, Alliance for Secure AI. That's a loaded plate starting in 30 minutes. But until then, it's just me and Julie Gunlock talking to each other, talking to ourselves. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning.
You ready for summer?
I am.
When are your kids' last day of school? It's got to be this week, right?
Next week. Or this week. They're in finals.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
that's mayhem.
Yeah, my dining room is just books and papers and candy wrappers and
well, your
Celsius
husband should
bottles.
Clean up after himself now and again. Come on, Darren. I'm trying to keep things light because we had a horrific scene in Colorado yesterday, Boulder, Colorado to be specific, a terrorist attack, despite what Andy McCabe on CNN wants to say. Insane that the media actually has to go through the lies that they go through to try to mischaracterize what is obvious to anyone with a set of eyes and a brain, which, of course, is what they do. What you see with your eyes and what your brain tells you can't be true if it doesn't fit our narrative. Right. And so we lie about it. And we'll get to the lies that they told coming up in a bit. But first, the facts. There is a suspect in custody now. The FBI has called their attack in Boulder, Colorado, a terrorist act and a targeted act of violence. It was at the Pearl Street Mall in Boulder. According to the write-up here, CBS News, witnesses said the suspect used a makeshift flamethrower, threw Molotov cocktails, burned multiple victims during a march in support of the Israeli hostages. And the vast majority of the people supporting the hostages were, of course, of Jewish descent. And we've learned quite a bit about this person. His name, and by the way, we've all seen the video ourselves. It's a viral video as the victims were actually taping their attack on their smartphones and streaming it out to the world to see. 45-year-old Mohammed Sabre Soliman has been identified by FBI Special Agent in Charge Michael Michalek. Sunday evening, Soliman was heard yelling "Free Palestine" during the attack and said it was clear that this is a targeted act of violence. He is an Egyptian national. Government officials have confirmed that he arrived in California via LAX in 2022 on a non-immigrant visa, tourist visa, and just stayed. Multiple sources told CBS News that original visa expired February of 2023. The Biden administration's Department of Homeland Security knew about him. He put in a asylum claim, again, illegally in terms of the way he did it after overstaying his tourist visa. Then after overstaying for over a year, decided, oh, you know what? I'm actually a refugee from Egypt and I need asylum, which of course
just a Colorado dad.
Yes, that's right. Chris Van Hollen has a brand new cause. He shouldn't have been allowed in this country. He shouldn't have been allowed to stay in this country. And when DHS knew about him, he should have been deported from this country. But under the Biden administration, that sort of thing doesn't happen. And now he's under arrest for an anti-Semitic terrorist attack in support of Hamas. And that happened in Boulder, Colorado, the center of our nation. The used to be a state that was all about freedom and liberty, and
now it's about drugs.
Biggest American life. Yeah.
Now it's about drugs.
It is about stoned.
It's about Antifa, sort of rudderless kids ending up, and homeless kids ending up in Denver and in Boulder, and they've ruined these cities. You can't even walk down a street in Denver or Boulder, for that matter, without getting a contact high. And there are kids squatting everywhere. Denver is a complete disaster, as is Boulder. The mayor of Boulder, lefty, has allowed this, has allowed anti-Semitic posters and activists to march around his city. Not surprising this happened. This is, this attack is absolutely grotesque.
He's an Egyptian national. He was in the country illegally. DHS knew about him and granted him a work permit at one point to let him stay in the country. He threw Molotov cocktails and used a makeshift flamethrower on a group of people exercising their First Amendment rights to raise awareness about the Israeli hostages that are still being held. You know, what is it? What are we at? Almost 700, 800, 900 days since the October 7th attacks. I can't remember the fight. It's outrageous. It's despicable. And here he is, cut 11 here, screaming anti-Semitic terms at his victims. Take a listen.
He was wearing an orange suit with like something on his back.
Spraying alcohol.
Spraying alcohol, but what he did was he made it look like he was here.
She's making Molotov cocktails.
Okay, you heard him screaming Zionist. He was also screaming Free Palestine. And then, after his arrest, here's the chief of Boulder, Colorado Police. This is the chief of police for Boulder, Colorado, at his makeshift press conference, cut 12.
FBI is already calling it a targeted terror attack. Mm-hmm. Would you also refer to it as a terror attack?
So I've been in contact with our local FBI multiple times. We are in contact with them here. We are not calling it a terror attack at this point. Again, it's way too early to speculate motive. I know there's a lot out there on social media, but I ask people just to give us a little bit of patience while we work through.
It's way too early to speculate motive.
I was waiting for him to say that's a cheap fake. Honestly, we saw it. We saw it.
No.
He's trying to set Jews on fire while screaming "Free Palestine." I'm not a cop.
Don't be irresponsible, Julie. Don't be irresponsible. You know, we have standards here.
God.
But we're still trying to gather evidence. Oh, you mean like talk to witnesses? Okay, let's do that. Cut 13.
There's a woman who was on the ground bleeding out, and then there are two other women whose calves were burned from the fire, and so I just ran over to stay with them and make sure that they didn't lose too much blood from their legs.
And there was a woman that was burning on the ground, and then we noticed two other people that had also been affected by the burns on their legs, and this man was shirtless and was yelling with some kind of accent and was threatening to burn people
while screaming Zionists. So he's threatening to burn people that he's calling Zionists. The people who were there were protesting to raise awareness of the hostages.
He's not threatening to burn just anybody walking by. No.
Yeah.
He wanted to incinerate Jews. That
Thank you.
seems kind of like a terrorist to me.
Absolutely irresponsible to jump to conclusions about this. We're Boulder Chief of Police. Good for you, sir. Stephen Redfern. He's doing his job for the city council mayor. This is why we like sheriffs. This is why we like county sheriffs who get elected by the people and aren't beholden to a politicized mayor and city council. Those are the facts on the ground. Now, coming up, if you only relied on mainstream media outlets, you would have gotten a very different story about this outrageous, despicable, disgusting, anti-Semitic terrorist attack in Boulder. We're going to tell you what CNN and the networks all said about this as the story was developing. Again, as we all saw the video of the terrorist screaming what he was screaming, we'll show you what the media told their readers in a moment. First, though, at 6:15.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
So by the time news outlets started printing stories, the video of this terrorist had already been widely disseminated, and you could see with your own eyes and hear with your own ears him screaming at, again, the mostly Jewish protesters trying to raise awareness about Israeli hostages. Held by Hamas.
Peaceful rally.
And they weren't even saying, eliminate Hamas, eliminate Gaza, Zionism,
no,
Israel
they
forever.
Never do. Yeah.
No, it's like free the hostages. That's all.
It.
Just free the innocent hostages that have been held since the massacre on October 7th.
Right.
We knew what he said. We had all seen the video. He's screaming, free Palestine, screaming Zionists at the people he just tried to incinerate. Here's CNN. CNN's right up. A man reportedly set people on fire in Boulder leaving multiple individuals injured, the city's police chief said. So this is after the police chief gave his press conference. But listen to this. As people gathered for a peaceful pro-Israeli demonstration, and the word peaceful is in quotation marks.
Quotes.
They put scare quotes around the word peaceful. Because, who are we? Who are we to take their word for it that it was peaceful?
I mean, they could have broken into violence at any second. Right?
For all we know, they were violent, but nobody, he was just acting in self-defense with his flamethrower.
And also, let's talk about the ages of the victims. I think they went from 68 to 88, okay? These were mostly elderly people that were at this rally. There were some young people, but he obviously targeted older Jews that were marching in this rally.
CNN also described the events. The man threw bottles that apparently contained flammable liquid that hit the ground and exploded in flames. Yeah, we call that Molotov cocktails.
Yes, thank you.
Multiple law enforcement officials briefed on the investigation told CNN, noting the exact number of bottles was unclear. Nowhere in this article do they point out, again, the evidence that we all saw that he was screaming Zionists or Free Palestine. BBC, same thing. A pro-Israeli peaceful demonstration was underway when the attack happened. Police say the group meets regularly for a walk to remember the hostages taken by Hamas. Nowhere in the BBC's write-up do they point out what this man said. Here is more from the BBC. As police investigate motive, Jewish community reacts.
Just a mystery.
Police are examining whether the demonstration was targeted, but have yet to confirm a link. Yet to confirm.
Again, the videos were out by then. The naked man screaming.
Yes. And here's what's funny, by the way. This was half naked man. Let's just be clear. There was
I'm sorry.
Shamalama ding dong. The point where you know how they do like updated hits and paragraphs. So at 2:11, the BBC said police are confirming whether the demonstration was targeted, but have yet to confirm a link. But eight minutes before that, they published this update. Colorado's Attorney General Phil Weiser just released a statement calling the attack targeted. The FBI called it a terror. From what we know, the attack appears to be a hate crime given the group that was targeted. So 8 minutes before, they had the Attorney General saying it was a hate crime. But then 8 minutes later, police have not yet confirmed whether this was a targeted attack.
And again, if this had been some guy wearing a MAGA hat, you can imagine. I mean, how quickly they would come to the conclusion.
I doubt George Stephanopoulos will even mention this in his rundown on Good Morning America today. Right. But yes, if it were a MAGA hat, it would be all over. All right, this is my favorite, NBC News. This is the headline. Are you ready? This is the headline. Advocates for Israeli hostages in Gaza injured in fire attack. Yes, injured in fire attack. And they're described as advocates for Israeli hostages. They weren't targeted because they're advocates for the hostages.
I know.
They were targeted because they were Jewish and they supported Israel. The euphemisms.
You do not hate these people enough. You just do not hate these people.
NBC. Multiple people were injured when an attacker used an incendiary device on demonstrators in Colorado who were marching to buoy awareness of hostages.
Buoy.
CBS. Wow. A man reportedly set people on fire in Boulder, Colorado, leaving multiple. Nowhere in here do they actually lay out specifically who the people were,
right,
and what he was screaming as he did it. CBS won't identify anything in the headline, just people being burned. Attack at Boulder's Pearl Street Mall in Colorado burns several people, police say. Just an attack, not anything else.
They act like he was putting out a cigarette and accidentally threw it,
Yeah.
You would never know. It's so mildly described.
So as Chris Plant often says, one of the most insidious examples of the media bias is what they choose not to cover, or I would even add to that how they cover it, the words they choose, and what they leave out. I would think you would lead with the fact that this guy was screaming Hamas slogans, right? And specifically, he called them Zionists. He's specifically targeting for who they are and what they believe and what they stand for. Yet it's never referenced in these articles.
You had someone on PBS this weekend, David Brooks. He's irrelevant, so if you know who that guy is, used to be a conservative. David Brooks on PBS this weekend, calling Elon Musk Pol Pot. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you could be completely hysterical on the left, and but when something happens like this, they're so mild, they're so careful with their language, not to be hysterical, not to raise, people's worries about terrorists. It's just it's maddening. We also pay for PBS, by the way, so
Yes, thank you. By the way, sadly, there was another attack. Michigan Muslim pleads guilty in plot to open fire and kill Jewish preschoolers at daycare center.
Oh my God!
At synagogue. Michigan Muslim pled guilty in this plot after harassing families outside Temple Beth El. Hassan Shoker walked into a gun shop and tried to buy firearms to deliver God's wrath and even the score. This is Dearborn, Michigan. Of course, that's Rashida Tlaib's congressional district. I'm sorry, when you see students at Columbia University chanting "Globalize the Intifada,"
this is what it means.
This is exactly what it means, and yet people are still burying their heads. And I noticed not a whole lot of statements yesterday from representatives from one specific political party. It's 6:23.
As you all know, the big, beautiful bill passed the House, and it's in the Senate's hands now. What's going to happen? We'll talk to Grover Norquist. He's president of Americans for Tax Reform. Coming up next. Keep it here. It's 6:30.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington. A Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
6:37. Thanks for letting us be a part of your morning routine here. The second day of June. Wrapping up with graduations, end of school, and all that fun summer stuff on the horizon. But we got a busy day here in the nation's capital and a busy weekend to reflect on. Coming up at 7:05, Joe DeGeneva, 7:35, Byron York, 8:05, Ron Halber of the Jewish Community Relations Council, and then at 8:35, Brendan Steinhauser from the Alliance for Secure AI. It's Larry O'Connor with Julie Gunlock. Morning, Julie.
Good morning.
They call it a big, beautiful bill, and I understand the alliteration. I love a good alliteration. But at the same time, no one cares about a bill. People care about tax cuts, and this is a big, beautiful tax cut wrapped up in a reconciliation package. It's now in the hands of the Senate, but it's good to reflect on exactly what tax cuts the original Trump tax cuts from 2017 now made permanent, but also a whole host of new tax cuts that is going to enliven the American economy and, most importantly, keep the American people's money in their hands where it belongs, not in the government cesspool of waste, fraud, and abuse. As the Senate decides what they're going to do, they better recognize exactly, if they vote no, what they're voting no to. Let's bring in Grover Norquist, president of Americans for Tax Reform, because our buddies over there, and you are our buddies, Grover. We love Americans for Tax Reform. You've put out a pretty comprehensive list of the tax cuts in this bill, and they are significant. How would you characterize this reconciliation package?
It is very pro-growth. It will create jobs. It will, we're growing about maybe 1.5% a year. If this will take us up to over 3%. And in doing that, that's another 1.5% in growth each year. You do that over a decade, it'll actually reduce the debt and deficit by $4 trillion. Because with more growth, you get more people working, more people paying taxes, fewer people on welfare. It brings in more revenue and reduces government spending. So growth itself is the best way to deal with the deficit for people who are focused on debt and deficit, which we should keep an eye on. I'm particularly interested in making sure people's salaries go up, more people have work, more people have better opportunities. And this takes the expensing, which was in the original bill that passed in 2017, for all new business investment on plant and equipment and so on, and says instead of depreciating over like 10, 20 years, expense it year one. And same thing with research and development, which drops the cost of buying new equipment for workers, which makes them more productive, which means they can get paid more and can demand more because they are worth more with more capital per worker. It doubles the per capita per child tax credit. Or put it the other way, if this bill doesn't get passed and isn't extended, your per child tax credit will be cut in half.
There you go.
This will protect the tax cuts we have. there's a great big ugly tax increase lurking out there if the Democrats somehow were able to stop this bill. Now, there's a Republican majority in the House and the Senate. The Senate will pass something that looks very much like what the House passed. And the reason for that is not because they're terribly accommodating to the House, which I'm sure they try to be, but they're their own body. But the House and Senate have been working on this for 2 years. Before Trump was elected, they were saying, how are we going to get this done? They went out and had field hearings. Jason Smith, the head of Ways and Means, was out doing field hearings to ask people, what's important to you? What are you focused on? So one of the things this bill did when it passed was the bill that we're now looking to permanently extend, not another 10 years, permanently, out into infinity, okay, farther than you can see. And so you never have to come back and discuss it again. This will now be law of the land, not for a few years or 10 years or 5 years, but out until somebody decides to further reduce taxes. It doubled the standard deduction. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, sorry, Grover. I'm sort of interested because you've just in the matter of minutes been so convincing here, talking about how we'll have so much growth and job creation, and this will ultimately lead to reductions in debt. But I'd love your assessment of how you think the Republicans are messaging this. Again, there's a lot of conservatives who are frustrated that this bill doesn't do more to control spending. Yes. Many of them see tax cutting as at odds with deficit reduction. But you've just been so thoughtful in communicating why we need to pass this bill. Are the Republicans doing a good job of not only convincing their own party and some of the detractors, but also the American public that we need to pass this bill?
Well, there is always the challenge that ABC, CBS, and NBC and public broadcasting rarely invite you on to have this conversation. And this has been true for a while. And we need to make sure that the president says it more often, the House and Senate leaders say it, Speaker of the House, the Senate leaders. I have seen them say it. I've seen them say it many times. It doesn't get as much attention from the establishment presses, and you can imagine why. They don't find that terribly interesting, although it's very, very important. And you're right. It's tough sometimes for elected officials to repeat themselves over and over and over again because they've heard it 20 times, but the audience they're talking to, this is the first time they've heard it. And growth, bringing down the debt and deficit is extremely important. This is now Kevin Hassett says this, and he's been out doing he'd be a great guy to the economics guy at the White House. He gives a very good presentation on just how you can measure this growth. And we've known this going back to the Reagan years, that if you grow at 1% more per year, you can calculate the reduction in debt and deficit from that.
And Grover, that was my follow-up question here quickly, though. I mean, we've known this. We've known it for decades, that this is pro-growth, and when you have pro-growth, the federal government actually makes more money. So all of this nonsense about, how are you going to pay for that tax cut? I mean, you just described what history has shown us in terms of the dynamic income that the federal government gets when you do exactly what this bill does. Why are we still stuck with the same rules that the Congressional Budget Office does when they try to calculate exactly what the so-called cost of a tax cut is?
And the CBO, when we cut the corporate rate for American companies from 35%, which is what it was under Obama and Biden, 35% down to 21%, okay? At 35, we were highest in the world, and higher than China, which is 15 and 25, higher than the European average, stupider than France is not where you want to be on tax policy. Taking that down was hugely helpful in growth, and the corporate income tax with the much lower rate raised a great deal more money every year with the lower rate because people were producing more and creating more wealth in this country. We should focus on, tax cuts are nice. People get to keep their own money or more of their own money, but it also is part of having more growth. Deregulation is the other part of that. We want to outcompete China and Europe and other countries, reduce our own cost of government. What the Democrats want you to do is compete on lower wages. I want to compete on lower taxes and lower cost of government through regulations. That's the better way to compete with China and Europe.
We got to leave it there. But we love Americans for Tax Reform, and we're excited to see you help maneuver this through the Senate. So all eyes
Larry
are
and Julie,
on that.
thank you.
Thank you, Grover Norquist. 645 WMAL traffic and weather. Every 10 minutes, first on the fives with Jamie Whitten in the Hadig Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
I feel like we're kind of cruising. This is really good, guys. It's the volume on 66, Manassas, Fair Oaks. Same story with 95 in our typical spots. And 395 starting to fill in here as you head up toward Duke Street and at the 14th Street Bridge. 295 northbound slows past Blue Plains and again at the inbound 11th Street Bridge. No problems on the Suitland Parkway. This is just the normal trip before Branch Avenue. That takes you off and onto Stanton Road. You'll get a little break and then heavy again at 295. We're good over at the Douglas Bridge. No problems. Teddy Roosevelt Bridge or Key Bridge right now still looks good into Georgetown. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
It's the first week of meteorological summer, but it doesn't feel like it this morning. It is cool. It is crisp. 40s and 50s to get you going. We'll get into the mid-70s this afternoon with sunshine. Today, the coolest day of the week. We'll get into the 80s tomorrow, and then we'll be near 90 Wednesday and Thursday with increasing humidity. Dry weather all week. I'm 7 News DC's Eileen Whalen.
It is 53 degrees at 646.
News, weather, and traffic are brought to you by MervisDiamond.com.
The best diamonds in the world are waiting for you at Mervis Diamond Importers. For the largest diamond collection and the best value, visit Mervis. At Mervis, you don't have to be an expert to buy like one. Nobody pays retail anymore. Why should you? MervisDiamond.com or call 800-HER-LOVE.
Hey, it's Larry from my friends Debbie, Sarah, and Reynolds Empower Home Team with Keller Williams. Listen to this. Their client, Beth, was able to sell her home for well over asking price in just 6 days. How is this possible, you ask? Well, there's a difference between selling a home and selling it right. Beth hired Debbie, Sarah, and Reynolds Empower Home Team because they know how to sell homes right. Their buyers and waiting program led to Beth getting multiple offers. More offers equals more money for you. Let them use their database of well-qualified buyers to get your home sold. Reynolds Empower Home Team is so confident they'll get your home sold for the most money that if your home doesn't sell, Debbie and Sarah will buy it. That's their guarantee. Call the only ones you should trust to sell your home, Debbie, Sarah, and Reynolds Empower Home Team right now. 844-344-SOLD. 844-344-SOLD or visit DebbieHasTheBuyers.com. That's DebbieHasTheBuyers.com.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. That does give us certain advantages, for example, in focus and resources. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. If you're a guy facing divorce, remember, Cordell & Cordell, a partner you can count on. Visit CordellCordell.com to schedule your consultation.
No one wants to leave behind stress for their family. That's why a trust or a will is so important. Without one, your assets might go to the wrong people or leave out loved ones. Also, probate is long, expensive, and often avoidable with a revocable trust. TrustandWill.com makes it simple to create a personalized estate plan. A trust or will provides clarity and peace of mind. Get 20% off on your estate plan documents by visiting trustandwill.com/radio.
Higher inflation and higher interest rates could be coming, but bonds are still beating stocks so far this year. How should we think about positioning for stability and cash flow in a more volatile world? Tune in every week as we discuss the latest financial trends and how to become a better informed, wise investor. Listen to us at The Wise Investor Show at RaymondJames.com/The Wise Investor Group, or just find us on your favorite podcast app. Raymond James Financial Services Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC.
I can play the new Clue online game from the Virginia Lottery anywhere. In the billiard room, in the study, in the Who turned out the lights? Oh, I just bumped the switch. Whoops. As I was saying, you can find the new Clue Scratcher game from the Virginia Lottery anywhere you find Virginia Lottery tickets. Play in-store, in-app, or online today. Visit VALottery.com/Clue. Clue is a trademark of Hasbro. Must be 18 or older to play. Please play responsibly. 888-532-3500.
Hi, it's Jonathan Cotton with the Good Feet Store, and have you tried the over-the-counter products for your foot pain and nothing seems to work? If that's you, it's time to check out the Good Feet Store. Stop the pain that's stopping you. Visit goodfeet.com to book your appointment today, or just stop by the store nearest you.
WMAL, making sense of world events, because those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
Amazing Washington Post. Honestly, I thought this was fake. I thought it was Babylon Bee. Are you ready for this Washington Post headline? The biggest problem with the media, I think, that goes well beyond their bias is just how ignorant they are. They really should spend more time following the news, these reporters, you know?
Exactly.
Here's the headline. The mysterious drop in fentanyl seizures on the U.S.-Mexico border. The reasons behind the decrease of fentanyl seizures in the U.S. and along the Mexico-U.S. border are complex. Are they? Have you not been following things for the last 4 months in this country? What's changed?
Hold on.
How
they literally.
stupid.
I cannot believe they used the word mysterious.
It's so mysterious.
It's
We
just a
may never
mystery.
figure this out.
We usually make fun of them by going, it's just a mystery. And then they actually used it in the headline.
The new data suggests a complex story. The U.S. government's average monthly seizures of fentanyl at the Mexican border have dropped by more than half, from 1,700 pounds in 24 to 746 pounds this year, according to Customs and Border Protection. Well, gee, what's different? I don't know. I mean, we may never know. It's a fluke. Yeah, jeez.
It's complex, Larry.
Yeah, you need to you have to have a master's degree from a liberal arts college in America to never be able to figure out what's common sense. It's 6:51.
The market can feel like a whirlwind. Ups and downs, twists and turns. It's enough to make anyone feel uneasy. But remember, turbulence is temporary. Your retirement plan should be built to last, no matter what the market may bring. I'm Abe Abish, founder of Abish Financial Services. We can help you create a foundation of income designed for longevity with diversification to help hedge against volatility. Don't let temporary turbulence derail your long-term goals. Call us for a risk review of your retirement savings. 571-570-3559. If you've saved $500,000 or more, we can do this review for you complimentary. That's 571-570-3559. Or visit theretirementkey.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Abish Financial Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor firm. Insurance services offered through Abish Financial Services, Inc., licensed in Virginia.
Hi, it's Jonathan Cotton with the Good Feet Store, and have you tried the over-the-counter products for your foot pain and nothing seems to work? If that's you, it's time to check out the Good Feet Store. Stop the pain that's stopping you. Visit goodfeet.com to book your appointment today, or just stop by the store nearest you.
Want to meet someone not online? At It's Just Lunch, we make great matches and even arrange the dates so you can make a real connection with a real person. It's Just Lunch. Connection awaits. Guaranteed dates. Visit itsjustlunchdc.com or call 202-466-6699.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell and Cordell. Serving in the military requires great sacrifices, not just for one's country, but also for one's family. Not surprisingly, divorce for soldiers is especially difficult, and it raises a number of challenges that are peculiar to military divorce, things such as deployments, relocation, retirement benefits. These issues can be complicated, and the lawyer you choose needs to be equipped to handle them. So if you're a soldier facing such challenges, go to CordellCordell.com.
Hey, it's Chris. Looking for expert tree care? Do you have overgrown tree limbs or bushes that have turned into an eyesore? Then trust Cavalier Tree Service. Locally owned by Mike Ezzo, a proud U.S. Navy and National Guard veteran. Mike makes sure Cavalier Tree Service brings military precision to every job they complete. Mike's experienced crew at Cavalier specializes in tree trimming, pruning, and full tree and stump removal for both residential and commercial properties. You can can also trust Mike for a second opinion on any tree. Whether you're sprucing up your yard or managing a large commercial site, Cavalier has the skills, equipment, and experience to get the job done. I've met Mike. He's a great guy and WMAL listener looking to grow his business. So help support a veteran-owned, local, American company. Trust me, Cavalier will keep your trees healthy, your property safe, and your curb appeal strong. Visit CavalierTreeService.com. That's CavalierTreeService.com.
This year, grow your hair back with multi-unit hair grafting and PRP, which grew my hair back. Call 703-763-0016 for a free consultation or go to growyourhairback.com. That's growyourhairback.com.
It is 6:55 now. WMAL traffic and weather every 10 minutes first on the fives. Here's Jamie Whitten in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
Traffic is brought to you by Jiffy Lube.
And we're in good shape for a Monday morning. In fact, southbound 95, our little obstacle that we had, Maryland, the exit ramp to go to 212, temporarily blocked with the crash. They quickly cleared it. Not seeing much of a delay. Just that volume to merge onto the outer loop, which we typically see every morning. Now, coming out of the Burtonsville area, or heading into the Burtonsville area, southbound 29, south of 216, as you head over the Patuxent River, we do have a crash, and that is giving us delays back near 216. No problems to report on 66. Volume delays in Manassas, Fair Oaks, and now northbound 28 is starting to bunch up as you leave 66. We have a crash reported northbound 28 north of Walney Road. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
No rain in the forecast. Lots of sunshine. You might notice the sky looking a little hazy at times during this week as we get some of that wildfire smoke from Canada. No impact to air quality expected. Cool and crisp this morning in the 40s and 50s, mid-70s later this afternoon with sunshine. I'm 7 News DC's Eileen Whalen.
50 degrees at 6:56.
Don't schedule your whole day around an oil change. At Jiffy Lube, it takes 15 minutes or less. Drive in today with no appointment necessary. Visit JiffyLubeDC.com for a location near you.
1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. No title, no problem. Call 877-CARS-FOR-KIDS or go online at carsforkids.org to donate today.
1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Business owners everywhere are raving about ZipRecruiter's new feature, Zip Intro, which does the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates to meet with you as soon as the next day. So we decided to call up some of these employers and hear their stories. Today, we're on the phone with Pilates studio owner Crystal M. Harris. Crystal, how has Zip Intro helped you hire?
Well, I was opening a Pilates studio in McDonough, Georgia, and I needed to staff up quickly. Zip Intro did the work for me. It helped me find enthusiastic candidates who matched my qualifications perfectly.
That's great.
Yeah, I had my Zip Intro session on Tuesday, did all the interviews by Thursday, sent out the offers on Friday, and they started on Monday. Because Zip Intro did most of the work, I saved so much time.
Absolutely. And to our listeners, you can try Zip Intro for free right now at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Zip Intro. Post jobs today. Talk to qualified candidates tomorrow.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-323-8922. 800-323-8922. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-323-8922.
Coming up, 7 o'clock hour, we got Joe DeGeneva and Byron York. You don't want to miss this. Keep it here.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9.